historical Jesus, and there was a prophetic one to come at the end of time. Even Jesus knew that, and I will prove that as we go along. You just sit back and listen. Jesus talking. I want you to turn to the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 38 to 40. Let's go to Matthew. Let's see what Jesus say here in Matthew. We're talking about one coming at the end of time. We're talking about that one. See, Jesus didn't say he was coming after the lost sheep. Jesus talked about another one who would go after a people who was lost. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad referred to black people in America as lost. I ask you the question, have we been lost from our way? Yes, sir. I asked Reverend Price and other Christian theologians. I have debated some of the best. And I always ask this question. Did not God and the prophets see black people coming into bondage? Now, I know God is omnipotent. Is that right? He knows what was, he knows what is, and he knows what is to come. The problem with black people in America, we've been hit in the head. And we have lost our knowledge, lost our name, lost our religion and our God and our way. So the book called us lost sheep, because a sheep is a thing that is easily led in the wrong direction, but hard as hell to lead back to the right direction. So we're not dealing with some lost sheep. We're talking about some real lost people. The Chinese are not lost. They know their language. They know their land. The Japanese are not lost. They know their language. They know their land. They know their deities. The Jews are not lost. They know their language. They know their land. They know their God. The Italians are not lost. They know their language. They know their land. They know their deities. The Indians are not lost. They know their land. You own it. You took it. You stole it. It's the black man. He don't know his name. He don't know his land. He don't know his God. He don't know his way. You are lost sheep. All praise is due to Allah. Come on, Reverend Price. Can't you see we lost? You was lost because you just figured out in 1998 it was racism in Christianity. How many years you was lost with that reality? Even the gangbangers know Christianity got some racism in it, and they don't profess to be a scholar. Well, if you deal in chapter 12, there were some people following Jesus, and they wanted to know, when is the end coming? See, Jesus, he knew they was, they wanted him to tell them all the truth. Now remember, Jesus wouldn't teach all the truth. I'll take you in that part of the Bible where Jesus said, there's many things I can tell you, but you cannot bear it right now. But when he, not me, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will lead you into all truth. Is that right? Okay. Here were some scribes. Scribes in that day are what your journalist is today. They were the writers. Jesus had a press conference and they was questioning him. Now listen at their questions to the master. See, because we believe in Jesus' teaching. They said, verse 38 in chapter 12, all the way to 40, then certain of the scribes and the Pharisees answered, saying, who are the Pharisees? Government officials, Pharisees were government officials, agents. Answer saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee. Speaking of the last day, what is the sign of the last day? But he answered and said unto them, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. He said, and there shall no sign be given to it but the sign of the prophet Jonah. Then he goes on and give a description on what the sign would look like. He said, for as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. We say that Master Farrkhan Muhammad is that Son of Man. And America right now is the heart of the earth. Meaning that America is the lifeline through which all nations want to trade with her. Huh? She controls every nation. She's in control of NATO. She got every nation bombing Kosovo. That's her doing. She's the heart. And Master Farrkhan Muhammad was here for approximately 3.5 years, 3 days. He was here and he left, Reverend Price. And he left us Elijah Muhammad. That's what we teach, Reverend Price, on that wise. Now, no, let's go on. Speaking of the lost sheep, Jesus told his disciples who to go to. See, because many people believe Jesus came to save the whole world. The Bible said no, he came to save his people from their sins. Remember, when you start praying, he didn't pray for the whole world. He only prayed for those who believe on him. Let's go. Let's walk. Let's walk. Let's walk. Look, if you go to Matthew 10, this is Jesus telling his disciples where to go. But they was confused. It reads, verse 5. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not. Now he's telling them where not to go. Go not into the way of the Gentiles. Who was the Gentiles? Come on, Reverend Price. See, black people think they Gentiles. What area of the earth Jesus was teaching in at that time? He was in Europe. He was in Rome. They were the Gentiles. The Europeans are known in scholarship as the Gentilian people. I know you think you one too. Yeah, you think you're an American. I'm not going to go into that one. He says, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep, the house of Israel. But wasn't nobody lost at that time. He talking about an end time, go to the lost people. Are we lost? Could it be that he was talking about a future people at a future time who would be lost from now on? Well, let's say somebody was lost back then. Hell, it's somebody lost today. I'm looking at them. Aren't we a lost people? Well, who is God going to send for us? Since he's a God that changed not, who are you going to send for the black man, God, since we left our land and came to a strange land? Who's coming for the black man? He goes on. Give him some more. Now, listen. Speaking on the lost sheep, Jesus, let's go to Matthew 18, verses 11 through 14. We're dealing with Jesus coming, this one at the end, the Son of Man. He's going to come without observation. He's going to be among a people and they're not going to even know it. Oh, Lord. You can't take your time with black people. They be ready to go. Start hitting them with you. They be like, he messing up my, He better not teach on Christmas, because I'm going to do Christmas. I don't care what they say. Well, only a fool will follow the devil after truth come to him or her. Speaking of the lost sheep, it reads, for Jesus talking again. He said, for the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. For the Son of Man is come, or is coming to save that which is lost. He's telling us what this man is going to do. Now, this is Matthew's. I'm going to go to John, and in John, Jesus, he clears it up. He gets it off of him, so you won't think, no, that's him coming back. We're going to clear Jesus of your charges on him. He go with verse 12. How think ye, if a man have 100 sheep, and one of them go astray, that he not leave the 99 and go into the mountains and seek that which is gone astray? And if so be that he find it, verily I say unto you, he rejoiced more of that sheep than of the 99 which went not astray. Even so, it is not with the will of your Father which is in heaven, that one of these little ones should perish. We believe we are, out of all the peoples of the earth, we are the ones who have gone astray. And we believe Master Farrkhan Muhammad, being the Son of Man, he came and taught us. What did he teach us? A knowledge of ourselves. What did he teach us? A knowledge of God. A knowledge of who the devil is. He taught us the measurements of the earth. How much is the land? How much is the water? He came weighing and measuring the earth to give to the black man a baby in a new knowledge. He came to give that to babes. This is his teaching. Now, let's go on. I want you to see this. That's dealing with the lost. In the book of 1 Thessalonians, the book of what? Let's go to it. We want to deal with Jesus coming. Got to get this out real quick. As a thief in the night. Here we are. Then we're going to go to Romans 8:3. In Romans 8:3, we're going to talk about God coming in sinful flesh to condemn sin in the flesh. Okay, 1 Thessalonians 5:2. Chapter 5, verse 2. In Thessalonians, Paul writes of that one coming in the last day. He said, know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. Coming as a thief, a thief always go unnoticed. Have you ever had anything stolen from you? If it was stolen from you and you saw the person, he didn't steal it because you caught him. But a thief comes normally at night into your homes and take everything that he wants. Well, God had to come among us as a thief without observation, because the Caucasian had taught you and I of a mystery God, some spook that's going to come to us. Not teaching you what the Bible teaches you, that God is always a man. Let's roll on. Romans 8:3. It reads, for what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, listen, God sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, teaching on Master Farrkhan Muhammad, said that now Master Farrkhan Muhammad is not the originator of the heavens and the earth. He is not the originator. But when you submit your will and your mind totally to God, then God can come through you. He can come in your person. He can come into your mind, and then you can become God besides God in his place, meaning that his spirit is constant. Is that right? Spirit can neither be created or destroyed, but it will constantly change forms. We believe that God came in the person of Master Farrkhan Muhammad, a man who studied for 42 years to free the black man. He came, his mother was white, and his father was a black man. He had both natures. He had to master both natures so he could go among white people and not be detected. And in 1930, who was we worshiping? And we would only believe somebody who looked white. And Master Farrkhan Muhammad came to us and said, black man, do you know who you are? You are the original peoples of the earth, and he taught them true wisdom. This is why he came in sinful flesh. Roll the tape. Roll the tape. In fact, if you leave
Muhammad says the Father is also a man. So he's talking about Allah is God. This is the heading. Allah is God. He says, but the Father is also a man. All right? Turn in your Bibles to Numbers chapter 23.
It's getting ready to get
better. So, if Muhammad, the originator of Islam, quotes the Bible to prove and verify, and we'll get into that later on, many of the things that he said, then that means since the Bible came before Muhammad, then the Bible is first in line. Therefore, we must go back and refer to the oldest source rather than to the youngest source, because the youngest source is supposed to be a product of the older source. So therefore, if anything that Muhammad says doesn't fit the Bible, then we have to reject, because the Bible was here before Muhammad. So if Allah is the same God of the Muslims that he is Jehovah for the Christian, then he cannot be the author of confusion. So therefore, he would have to say in the Bible the same thing that he says in the Quran, if he's the same God that authored both. Listen up now. Now,
stop it right there. Look, I rolled out of that one. Brother missed me. Check this out. You heard what his rules is, right? He said Muhammad chooses to use the Bible. So if the Bible was before the Quran, then we should believe the oldest source of God's revealed word. The question is the Bible the oldest source? Let's go for a walk, Christians. Which Bible are you talking about, Reverend Price? Here we go. Which book is the oldest source? Are you talking about the King James Version? Are you talking about the original manuscript? Are you talking about, let me look at this cat's name. I mean, it's, now, with that, he said that one should say what the other one says, and they should say the same thing, right? Okay, we want to put you up under your same rules. Now, the Roman Catholic Bible was published at Reims in 1582. Are you talking about that one? Or are you talking about the Bible that came from Jerome's Latin Vulgate and was reproduced at Douay in 1609? Are you talking about that one? Or, Reverend Price, are you talking about the Roman Catholic version? As we know, it is the oldest version that one can still buy today. It reads here, despite its antiquity, the whole of the Protestant world, including the cults, condemn the Roman Catholic version because it contains 7 extra books. The Bible that Reverend Price used is the Revised Standard Edition of the King James Version that the king put in motion, which only has 66 books. But the oldest book we know of, Reverend Price, from your scholar said it had 73 books. So which one are you using? It ain't, no, that ain't it. Now, Reverend Price, are you talking about these books which is referred to as the Apocryphy? Now, some doubtful authorities, notwithstanding the dare to contain the Apocalypse, which is the last book of the Roman Catholic version. Are you talking about 1582? Are you talking about 1609? Are you talking about 1611? Now, in 1611, by the will and command of His Majesty King James, not the will of God, but by the will of His Majesty King James, he authorized somebody to do another version. Is King James God? Look, the Roman Catholics, believing as they do that the Protestants have mutilated the book of God. They fight. The Roman Catholics are saying that the Protestants mutilated the Bible. Are yet aiding, now here it is, mutilated the book of God, but yet are aiding and abetting the Protestants' crime by forcing their native converts to purchase the authorized version of the Bible, which is the only Bible available in some 1,500 languages of the lesser developed nations of the world. They developed a special book for the other nations of the world, meaning people of color. They took some things out and then gave you a book. Is that the one you got, Reverend Price? I'm not finished with you, sir. Now, Ahmed Didat, one of our Islamic scholars, he said the Roman Catholics milk their cows, but the feeding is left to the Protestants. The overwhelming majority of Christians, both Catholic and Protestants, use the authorized King James Version, as it is alternately called. Listen at this. Now, Reverend Price, do you use this one? The first published book by Sir Winston says in 1611 and then revised in 1881. Do you use the one in 1582, 1609, or do you use the one in 1611? Do you use the one in 1952? Do you use the one in 1881? Which one, Reverend Price? Do you go to the oldest known source? Let's keep going. Now, or do you use the one, Reverend Price, that was revised in 1971? This is the Revised Standard Version. Let us see what opinions Christendom have of its most revised Bible. Now, this is their bestseller. But listen at what the scholars are going to say about the Bible, the ones who put it together. Are y'all ready for this? The finest version which has been produced in the present century, the Church of England newspaper writes, a completely fresh translation by scholars of the highest eminence, not by God, by scholars of the highest eminence, the well-loved characteristics of the authorized version combined with a new accuracy of translation. This is a Life and Works book, the most accurate and close rendering of the original. Now, the most accurate and close, it didn't say, it just says, I don't want a book that close to the original. I want a book that is the original. The publisher, which was Collins themselves, in their notes on the Bible at the end of their production says on page 10, the Bible is the product of 32 scholars, not of God. Listen, the Bible is the product of what? 32 scholars. Not God. Assisted by an advisory committee representing 50 cooperating denominations. You mean Jesus had over 50 denominations? I thought it wasn't but one baptism. I thought it wasn't but one church. It's 50 different denominations who was playing around in the Bible. Y'all want me to stop? I'm going to stop. I'll come back. Because there's something that they said that I can't reveal till we get down. Do y'all have time to sit? See, brothers and sisters, I don't want to rush because this is scholarly work. And you are in class. I'm saying go check me out. If I'm wrong, come back and correct me. But if I'm right, just suggest. I'm not saying you got to be in the nation, but if you're going to be a Christian, follow the right one. See? Follow the truth of Christianity if there's any truth in Christianity. But if you want to be right, follow Jesus. Okay, I want to go on that same. I want to read to you where the Bible, as we have studied, originated from. Now, do you know that before you got the one in 1971, there were 17 other books before the one that was published in 1971? It started with the original manuscript, of which the Christian scholars say the original manuscript that the Bible comes from has been lost. How are we ever to know? Then it went to a book called The Most Ancient Copies. Then it went to ancient copies. Then from ancient copies, it went to the ancient version. Then from the ancient version, Vulgate picked it up. Then after Vulgate picked it up, Wycliffe picked it up, not the rapper. Wycliffe is a borrowed name. That's a British name. So our brother who called himself Wycliffe is naming himself after the Caucasian. Well, he didn't name himself. Then after Wycliffe picked it up, Tyndale picked it up. The book of Tyndale. After Tyndale picked it up, Coverdale picked it up. After Coverdale picked it up, Matthew picked it up. Then Great, then Geneva, then Bishop, then Dewey, then King James, then the Revised Version, then the American Standard. Price, which one do you use, partner? Now, if you saying, Reverend Price, that you're going to go with the oldest text, don't forget the Old Testament predated the New Testament. So the New Testament should say the same thing the Old Testament says. And the Old Testament should say the same thing the New Testament says. Let's see if they say the same thing. See, you started this. We wanted to sit with you in private, but you wouldn't. So we'll sit with you and everybody else that look at this TV broadcast. That's all. I mean, you know, to say that one book is old and if it one don't, I mean, that's a silly argument as a scholar, Reverend Price.